What's going on, guys? So I just got back from eating at French Laundry. For those of you who don't know, French Laundry is this fine dining restaurant up in Yountville, California. It's in like the Napa Valley region, about an hour north of San Francisco. If you're familiar with the area, they have 3 Michelin stars. It's regarded as like really one of the best restaurants in the world. And through a friend, I was able to get a reservation, and then we went there and just were lucky enough to be able to try all the really amazing food there. And so I kind of wanted just to talk through like the dishes I got to try and, you know, give like, I guess I'm giving a review of it. Hopefully this will be received a lot better than the Gordon Ramsay review I gave, the Gordon Ramsay burger review. But I will, of course, give my honest opinion on all the food. I guess the first thing to start with is, so when I got there, Thomas Keller has a bakery in the Yountville area called Bouchon. And this is a baguette from there. This is what's kind of left over. It's been, you know, quite a few hours since I was there, so it's not as fresh as it was before. But like, look at it, it's super cool. And then it was about this tall before, and I ate some of it. So went here before the reservation at French Laundry just to, you know, grab a quick bite, and, you know, you can just tear a bit off and. Of course, it's a little bit stale now. It's been a couple hours, but at the time, it was really fresh, really good. And I'm sure if I just reheat this a little bit, it'll be still very, very good. And another thing they had at Bouchon that I really liked was their macarons. They're a little bit larger than the normal macarons, and they were the best macarons I've ever eaten. I had this raspberry one that was just, I don't know what about it, like what they did to make it better, but it had that crunchiness, but it was really, really soft and buttery. Absolutely amazing. The best macaron I've ever had. So I didn't go to the restaurant with like the goal of filming and doing like a review or anything like that, since, you know, I spent a lot of money. Like, I want to enjoy the experience. So I took a bunch of pictures. I took a lot of, like, I guess what I would consider B-roll for all the dishes and stuff like that. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to just talk through this, and I'm going to, you know, impose on top like of my talking, the footage and things like that, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, and then I'll just kind of be referring to pictures on my phone and also the menu. So when you go there, like as you're leaving, they actually give you a copy of the menu. So this is the menu right here with what I had today, and here's a book, purveyor. So this is all the purveyors of all their food in the restaurant. And then also this little kind of gift tote bag with I believe these are like some kind of cookies or something like that. We'll open it up towards the end. So very nice of them. And I guess the logo is this clothespin, and then they also give you a clothespin. This is French Laundry on. Very cool. So anyways, I'm going to go through and just kind of, I'll be looking at my phone, I'll be looking at the menu, just kind of like gather my thoughts and try to remember the entire experience so I can describe it to all of you in the best way I can. First, we start off with a champagne. Champagne was, I'm not much of a drinker, so I don't really know how to judge it, but I would say a nice kind of tartness to it, like almost like kind of an apple flavor, and some good like sourness, acidity to it. That's all I can really describe. I know nothing about alcohol. And then the first thing that came was this appetizer, and it was basically a tall cone, and inside was tuna. It was cooked tuna, and what I would say is some kind of cream, kind of like a cream cheese, sour cream, kind of blend in it. Super rich. The cone was really flaky. The tuna was really kind of smoky. It was very good. And then along with that was just the cheese and crackers. But this cheese was super rich, really strong, but not strong in like a goat cheese way, but like just very bold, like a very bold cheese flavor. Okay, so the first item on the tasting menu was the Oyster and Pearls, and so that's a sauvignon of pearl tapioca with Island Creek oysters and Regis Ova caviar. And this was a really, really rich dish. It's like some of the sauce itself actually tasted like just pure melted butter. It was incredibly, incredibly rich. The caviar was like, it had a nice salty flavor, but it wasn't overpowering, because sometimes you have caviar that's just way over salted, and all you're tasting is salt. You can barely even taste like any of the fishiness at all. And this was just like the perfect balance of caviar and the kind of like buttery sauce. So it was very, very good. And then along with that was a brioche, which was made from the bakery I mentioned earlier, Thomas Keller's Bouchon. And it was a pretty good brioche, very, very flaky. It came with a side of butter with a little bit of salt on it. And in this case, for the bread, it actually, I felt like, did not need the butter. It was actually good enough by itself. The butter was actually a little bit too strong for it. And then next up was the Hudson Valley Molar Duck Foie Gras Rollel, which is Cadota fig puree, fennel pollen infused honey, Pearson Farm pecans, and garden sorrel. And this was a extra $30 on top of the bill in order to get the foie gras. You gotta get foie gras. I mean, foie gras was banned in California, I think back in like 2012 or something like that, and they got brought back, and I think they're gonna ban it again. So I thought I would take the opportunity to have some more foie gras. It's just absolutely just a wonderful thing to have. And this dish was just absolutely just phenomenal. The foie gras was rich. And unlike other terrines I've had, which are kind of a little bit too thick, this was just light and kind of like moussey, and it just fell apart in your mouth. And then also the spices that they usually use with foie gras terrines, pate, is usually a little bit too strong, and it overpowers the taste of the foie gras. But this was light enough. It really worked well with the dish. And then surrounding it was a ring of, I guess it's like, yeah, like ground up pecans or something like that. It kind of reminded me of a granola, like a granola bar, which I know doesn't make sense. Like, why would that work well together with foie gras? But it actually worked great. Some of the sauces, like that green sauce you see right there, it was kind of this sour, I'm guessing some kind of like tart citrus kind of thing, and it went really, really well with the foie gras. What I found about a lot of these dishes is that you had to eat them all together at the same time, or else there's a chance like one of the flavors will be really, really strong. So like basically these dishes are all really small, and they all needed to be kind of combined in order to form like this multi-noted symphony. I have no idea what I'm saying, but you see what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying. And then the next item here is the chilled Dungeness crab, which had broca, avocado mousse, fragrant basil, and a toasted brioche. Essentially what this was just a Dungeness crab salad with some herbs on top and a little bit of what I would compare to like Chinese hot oil. It was, I think, maybe my favorite dish of the entire night. The crab was super fresh. There was a good amount of it, and it just really, it's just the freshness of the crab was so amazing. And as for the bread was very good. It was like a garlic bread, very buttery. Did not really go well with the dish. It was not necessary, so I just kind of ate them separately because the garlic flavor kind of overpowered the crab salad. But the crab salad, fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Next was the sole aux crevettes, which had Brentwood sweet corn, sabayon, and puff sorghum. What this essentially was shrimp, and then it was in this kind of corn, like a corn sauce, not like, almost like a corn soup, like a thick corn soup really. In it were like bits of corn, and they were able to distill down the corn flavor so much that it basically tasted more corny than corn. The corn flavors just really came through, and it paired really well with the shrimp. And this was maybe my second favorite dish, actually. It was very rich. The corn sauce itself was like very, very sweet, and then also in it were little bits of the puff sorghum, which is basically kind of like popcorn, and it just rich, and at the same time pretty refreshing too because of the sweetness of the sauce. And then the next dish here is the Wolf Ranch white quail, and it was marinated garden tomatoes, nasturtium leaves, and charred eggplant bechamel. Anyways, this was basically a quail dish, which was quail kind of ground up, and then there was bacon on both sides of it, and it was kind of pressed into a rectangle. There was a pickled pepper, and it looks to be some kind of, I believe it's some kind of carrot, and then some herbs on top of it. This was actually, of all the dishes I had all night, my least favorite. And the problem with it was just the fact that rather than having like a piece of quail or something like that, since it was ground up and then cooked, it didn't have enough fat in the middle, and so it kind of had like a mealy texture and not very much else to it. I wouldn't even say it's bad. I just would say of all the dishes I had the entire night, this was probably the least impressive, which still is like leaps and bounds ahead of what you would get at other restaurants. I do think like it could be improved if it maybe when they ground it up, they added a little bit extra fat or some kind of moistness to it to help with the texture. But the bacon on the outside was quite nice. And then I suppose what you would call the main course was the herb roasted Elysian Fields farm lamb, which had garden vegetable tabbouleh, wilted arrowleaf spinach, chickpea panisse, and black olive jus. And my friend actually got the Japanese Wagyu Quail. I really don't know how to pronounce these things. I totally apologize. Poele? And it had a smoked Wagyu sauchon, wild Oregon chanterelle mushrooms, pommes dauphines, and sauce borele. And for him, that was an extra $100, which I thought was a little bit much, so I chose not to get it. Now, for me, I'm not actually the biggest fan of lamb. I'll eat it, but usually I find lamb to be a little bit too gamey sometimes, and it kind of overpowers the dish. This lamb, very, very good, not gamey at all. Just a little bit of that lamb, funk that you would expect, but it was cooked very, very nicely, really great flavor. And like a lot of times, like the gamey flavor comes a lot from the fat. The fat still wasn't that gamey. It was just a really, really nice piece of lamb, and all the vegetables that came with it. The little French fry looking thing there was also very good. And then as for my friend's Wagyu, I was able to try a little piece of that. There was also some sausage on there. It kind of tasted like a andouille sausage. The Wagyu itself, very good Wagyu, although I would say it was not an A5 Wagyu. They never advertised it as an A5 Wagyu, so no one had any expectations that it would be A5, but it was definitely not an A5 Wagyu. It was a very good Wagyu. But the actual most impressive part about it was the fact that the crust on it was phenomenal. It was just this nice crunchy crust. I don't even know how they do that. It's like total magic. I don't know how they did it, because I make a lot of steaks, and I get a good seared, a great crust on them, but this was like on its own level with how amazing the crust was. So a very nice quality Wagyu, but the crust is what made it, and it was just a absolutely fantastic crust. Like, not much more to say about that. $100, a little bit much, I think, for what you get. And then the next thing here is a Gougere, which has a Andante dairy etude and Australian black winter truffle fondue. So it's basically this. I guess you could compare it to like a cream puff. Really, it's not really a cream puff, because the cream puff has it's a little bit thicker, but it's basically like, you get this outer bread layer, and then inside it was stuffed with cheese, like melted cheese. It was gooey, and it was absolutely rich, just super, super unctuous, amazing cheese flavor, very heavy. But with the black winter truffle fondue that was on the bottom, which kind of was a little bit lighter, it actually balanced it out super well. Like, this is the kind of dish where if you eat one, it's just right. If you ate two, it might be a little bit much, because it was so rich. But it was a perfect quantity, perfect balance, and a really great conclusion to the savory part of the meal. And then the last part here, I won't be able to give you like perfect descriptions of what these things were, but there was what I believe was like a milk ice cream. There was a strawberry shortcake, and there's also this chocolate cake with a marshmallow, and then also kind of like a coffee drink with, let's say, like it's like a foam, like a cappuccino, or it's not cappuccino, but like a cappuccino espresso latte, whatever you want to call it, like foam on the bottom of it, with these like fried donuts with like cinnamon on them. So they call it coffee and donuts. And then there was also some macarons and like passion fruit toffee. And then also this, what looked to be some kind of truffle. And then inside of it was this huge nut, maybe like a macadamia nut. And so out of all these desserts, and they're all wonderful, by the way, my favorite was definitely the ice cream, and then also the coffee and donuts. The coffee foam side of it was just absolutely fantastic. It just had a very, very nice, sweet coffee flavor. And then the donuts were nice and soft and a great cinnamon finish to it. And then they brought out this box. I wish I got a picture of this. It was like this big wooden box, and they opened it up kind of like if they were asking if you wanted to try like fine cigars or something like that. They opened it up, and inside of it were these chocolate truffles. And there were, I think, like 8 or 9 of them just lined up in a row, and there's just like, oh, please help yourself to a few. And so I got the PB&J, I got the matcha, and I got the s'mores. And then there were other flavors, like there was a passion fruit, I think there was a salted caramel. I wish I could have tried them all. And they were all absolutely wonderful. From the pictures, they look like they would be solid on the inside, but the filling is really, really soft. Wonderful. These were really, really good. And then also on the bottom, it actually says the name of it in case you forgot which one you picked. So that was really nice. I'm sure a lot of you are curious about the price. So what is the price? How it works is when you make the reservation, they actually have you pay first. And it's $350 a person plus tax. And then also you add in, for me, the $30 to switch over to the foie gras dish. And so in total, it was about $410, which it's a lot of money for sure. But like French Laundry, for those of you who are really into food, is kind of like one of those destinations that you have to go to, you have to try at least once in your life. I will go into more detail about that, but let me at least kind of talk about what happened after this, because it was really awesome. As we were having the dessert, Thomas Keller, who is the chef, founder, and the man behind French Laundry, he actually came by and said hello. We had a brief chat with him, and it was really, really great. Told him like how great the dishes were and things like that, and he was really humble and appreciative. After that, as we finished up and we were getting ready to go, the waiter comes over and he asks, hey, do you want to do a tour of the kitchen? So apparently this is something they do for everyone, and I thought because it's COVID time, like they might actually skip that portion for people, but they do let people do it, so it was great. We got to go down to the kitchen. I'm gonna show some footage. Unfortunately, as I walked into the kitchen, I was I was making a video, and then Thomas Keller's there, and he asked like, "Hey guys, you want to take a picture?" I'm like, "Of course I want to take a picture with you." So I had to stop the video and then switch into like photography mode. By that time, then we were making our way through the kitchen, so I didn't have a chance to really like have a long detailed video. Thomas Keller, super, super awesome, really great guy. I mean, just so humble. And then we were taken to the wine room, and we got to see their huge wine collection, and they have a very, very large selection. I'm not really a wine drinker, so I don't really have much of an opinion on that, but it looked like they had a lot of stuff. And then also they had like this big case of cigars for people who are into smoking. Then we were escorted out, and that kind of finished the day. Kind of just walked around the rest of Napa. This whole experience took about 3 hours, and through the entire time I never felt rushed, and the pacing was just perfect. We never sat there thinking like, oh man, when is the next dish coming out, or vice versa, where we're like, oh, the next dish just come too quickly and we haven't finished it and we better hurry up, or anything like that. No, it was just perfectly timed, perfectly spaced out, so we never felt rushed. We were relaxed, chatting. I was spending a lot of time trying to take pictures of food, because I was taking pictures with my phone, then I was taking pictures with my camera, which you can't see right now because I'm filming this with it, but I was taking pictures of that too, like so I could have like higher quality pictures to share with people. It was just like wonderfully paced, and just honestly going through this entire thing, it felt like I'd like reached enlightenment or something like that. I know that sounds crazy, but you as you're sitting there and these dishes are coming out one by one, and they're so rich and decadent and wonderful, and just also like just so creative, you just feel like this inner peace and relaxation come over you, and you just feel like all is right with the world, even though we're living in such awful COVID times right now. Like just like maybe like something has gone right with the world. I know this sounds totally crazy, but if you go eat there, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's just like the entire experience is crafted so genuinely and so perfectly. And I mean, yeah, for a lot of you out there, I'm sure you're thinking like $410, you must be crazy, but trust me, it's absolutely worth every penny you pay for it. It is pricey for sure, but it's one of those like once in a lifetime things that if you have the financial means of doing it, I really highly recommend you try it, because it was just like on a different level. And I've had this experience before. In 2013, I went to Japan and I went to Jiro Sushi. Unfortunately, not the one run by Jiro, but the one run by his son. It's the same food, same fish. His restaurant is a mirror layout of his father's restaurant because he's left-handed. So I would say like they're supposed to be comparable in quality from what I've heard, but it only has 2 Michelin stars instead of 3 because it's his son's place. And that was the same thing where you have really great food, but really what's important is the experience and the ambiance and how it all goes together, and you just feel like time just stops around you, and you're just in this special place, and you're really like connecting with the food, you're connecting with the beautiful scenery around you. You know, this was in Yountville. It's a very quaint, rustic part of Napa Valley. So you're kind of out there, countryside, looking out into the courtyard. Absolutely just a wonderful experience. And the fact that we got to meet Thomas Keller was super awesome too, because I mean, he's just basically one of the best chefs in the world. So just a really amazing experience. It's hard to describe. I hope I can kind of convey it in the way I'm talking about this, but the experience has been perfected for them. Although Thomas Keller said you can never achieve perfection, but they've really refined it in such a way where it's just a wonderful experience from like the moment you get there until the moment you leave. It's phenomenal, and I would urge any of you who can to go and try it. It's very, very hard to get a reservation. In fact, my friend was only able to get the reservation because he knew someone who couldn't go, and he transferred his reservation to him. Because like if you don't go, you still gotta pay the money, right? So you can transfer it to someone else, or you're going to be on the hook for the entire meal. We're just very, very lucky to be able to even experience this, and we almost were not even able to go because of COVID. They actually pushed back our reservation date. I think it was originally supposed to be early June. It was moved to today, which is August 22nd. And even today, we thought they were going to cancel on us because of all the fires around here. So there was a bunch of fires actually in the Napa region, and then also in like the Santa Cruz area. And we went to downtown Napa before we went to French Laundry, and it was actually a little bit hazy, but as we got to Yountville where French Laundry is, it actually cleared up, and even though we were sitting outside, we weren't able to smell any smoke or anything like that, which is really great because that would have affected, you know, our sense of taste. We were really fortunate that we were able to finally get to try this place. I wanted to try this place for the longest time, ever since I saw Anthony Bourdain eat there when he was on a Cook's Tour, and I just never really got the chance. I mean, it is very pricey, and it is also super hard to get reservations, and you have to like really actively try to get reservations. You know, it's not something you can just casually go like, okay, yeah, I want to eat there in a week or two, and you just get a reservation. It's got to be made like far out in advance, and you got to beat out a ton of people to get there. So very, very fortunate to be able to go. Really loved the entire experience from beginning to end, and loved most of the dishes. I mean, I had a couple of critiques, but like overall, loved the place. So as I was saying, probably got into this prematurely, but now we'll go dive back into it again. So this is the little tote bag that they give you after you go there. You get to keep the clothespin, and so we got this box, and now we're gonna open it up and see what's inside because I forgot what it was. Okay, so they're these are little cookies. So you get one out without creating a mess. Yeah, this is little cookies, little shortbread cookies, I guess. Let's give it a try. That is so good. I wish I could have filmed my reaction to when I was eating the food. It was just like taking a bite, and then just a brief pause of silence, and then kind of staring off into the distance. And you know, French Laundry, I went there with the assumption that it was just really overly hyped and things like that, and that is definitely not the case. The food there is actually on its own level. This cookie, starting to get some of those emotions evoked within me again. I mean, this just falls apart in your mouth. The butteriness just like floods your entire mouth. This is absolutely wonderful. So yeah, that is going to French Laundry during coronavirus times. I'm sorry I couldn't make like a full video with lots of B-roll and, you know, me talking to the camera and things like that. But as I said before, it was a lot of money. I wanted to really enjoy the experience, and so I wanted to have like minimal like interruptions and things like that, and like setting up camera gear and all this stuff. And there's a bunch of other videos out there where people go to French Laundry and you know, eat and talk about it and stuff like that. So I just wanted to just, you know, kind of share my experience with all of you. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.